Hello, everybody. Scott Golden here with the Pro Wrestling Logic YouTube channel and the World Class Championship Wrestling Review Series. We're starting the month of May in 1982. Much more episodic now. I don't think there's a missing episode for at least a couple of months yet. So this will be a little more cohesive, which makes me happy. Like, subscribe, comment if you like what we're doing. We are eventually going to go through all the main territories that are on the network. If you know of a territory that has a robust online presence in a place like YouTube or something else and you'd like to see that covered, please comment below. We'll do that as well. In any event, though, we are going to jump into May of 1982. 2002? Not quite. I wish territories had lasted until 2002, but we're not quite that lucky. Any event, we move into Wild Bill Irwin against Tom Shaft. Irwin reiterates his interest in being a top champion, taking on all comers, and his separation from Mr. Dusek in a pre-match promo. He faces off against Tom Shaft in a non-title affair. I kind of do wonder about the non-title nature of the presence of and continuance of the build of this promotion. Also, it's frustrating because there's title changes that we do not see due to the incompleteness of the library, and one of those will come up later. But anyway, really basic match. It saddens me because when you watch Shaft, let's say 5 months ago, the beginning of the year, you really think he has a shot at being a main player. Here he's carried through a match which isn't bad. I'm not saying it's horrible or anything, but it's clear that Irwin is having to pace the match and kind of give him or bring him to the or through the process of the contest, and it's frustrating to see a little bit, just in the basis of I felt there was a lot more potential there than maybe there actually was. We do see a very basic match, a lot of arm holds, a lot of submission attempts, and really it's okay, but it's also clear that Irwin, who, again, criminally underrated, is having to kind of slow Shaft down a little bit, kind of get him to be more in line with a championship caliber match, even in territorial sense, and it seems like there's a little bit of a missed opportunity there. He does, match goes about 5 or so minutes, maybe a little less, and it is a win for Bill Irwin. He uses the the knee drop there after a big body slam, the running knee drop, almost a Harley Race type thing, runs all the way across the ring, drops the knee in the middle of the chest to gain the victory. Then we see a promotional aspect for Hart and Hussein Unlimited, or Limited rather. We see that develop. Gary Hart kind of talking about them being a coalition, unstoppable, knowing talent when they see it, talking about them working together and how the Von Erichs cannot run him or anyone he's associated with off, and how frustrated that makes the Von Erichs. It's an interesting premise, but Gary Hart is probably, I would say, the greatest manager never to get a run during the boom period certainly with WWF, and I would even say WCW didn't do enough with him, in my personal opinion. But he's just a phenomenal talker. So if you like interviews or you're a manager guy or lady, then going back and watching some of Gary Hart during this time would be worth your time. Then we move into Ken Mantell versus Carlos Zapata. Zapata has become a mainstay here in World Class and holds through quite a number of matches. When I say holds through, meaning he is not a winner by any stretch of the imagination. Certainly his record well under 500, but every match that he's in, it's believable that he could win. Mantell is not a guy I've seen a whole heck of a lot of. He's physically rather unimposing, kind of a little pudgy, but known primarily for his booking in later years of the territory and other Texas-related territories. But certainly not a guy that if you're into the technical side of wrestling, or you're really looking for a match to write home about, especially in this era where there's less of those than we'd like to admit. It's not there, it's not here, and Mantell picks up the victory. Fritz von Erich addresses the Gary Hart and Kabuki issue. Obviously, Fritz has been a focal point in that feud from the beginning of the year till now. We see or hear Fritz talk about Kevin taking on Kabuki next week. We also hear him reiterate about being blinded by Kabuki, which leads into a great Kabuki match. Kabuki versus Mike Bond. Typical, squash-related match. Bond is brought back here as a guy who's been here before. At least that's the presentation of the announcers, by the way. Or at least that's how it feels to me, anyway. Kicks and strikes by Kabuki throughout. He's phenomenal with those nunchucks. Surprised that they are not used more as weaponry. And Kabuki actually does a face claw in the middle of the match. Uses several of the kicks, a jumping, leaping side kick, almost playing towards the martial arts bit, and walking the ropes a bit like the spoiler with a dropping fist drop for the victory. And Gary Hart, obviously, very, very satisfied with that. We then move into our very bizarre main event, at least bizarre to me, as we see Bugsy McGraw and King Kong Bundy against Al Madril and the Spoiler. Match runs through the end of the program almost. I think they're given about 20 minutes, and man, does this match drag. Good gosh, it's just, wow. Very long match, very basic punch kick, back and forth. Both teams getting several shines or heats depending on their heel or face side. Bundy looking competitive with Madril and his partner in the form of the Spoiler, which is fine. McGraw doing the majority of the work. Bundy coming in with the splashes and the like. The match itself turns into a time limit draw. There's an ask for more time in the match, which Hart and Hussein and their charges do not grant. Time limit draws are a major thing in Texas, I'm learning, over the last several months. Some of them even happening more than one time per television program. Not quite sure how I feel about it yet. I'm not opposed to time limit draws being used as a promotional tactic. I think I'm opposed, though, to how often they're used here. Because to me, if I'm tuning into a television program, I want to see winners and losers. And if you're not ready to give me winners and losers, then you need to book different matches. It's always been my idea. And I know that the conventional booking psychology at the time and even now is, well, if you give them a draw, they'll come out to the house shows. Problem is, if I'm a first-time viewer or a new viewer and I see two of these back-to-back or something like that, I'm going to be less likely to come out to the house show because I'm not getting enough of a taste on television to say, okay, that guy's a star, and I believe him to be able to beat that guy over there. So it's, I guess there's ways it can work on both sides. We will be back with the May 8th edition, and it does appear that at least through, let me just look here, through May, 1, 2, 3, 4, and through June, we have weekly television, so that's a good thing. Until next time, keep your feet on the ground, your mind in the moment. Until next time, everybody.